In 1993 or 92, when I was very, very young and Julius has arrived permanently in the United States, I was invited to a lecture in New York City, and it was a conversation, and it was a young artist named Latasha Nevada Diggs that is still today working with us, and a writer, Octavia Butler. It was incredible that so early I have the opportunity to share a space of collaboration and conversation with the amazing Octavia Butler. She's no longer with us, but her work is. And as a visionary writer, as a visionary dreamer as she was, I wanted to read for you a tiny little bit of one of his novels and memories. And it's a very telling book. We have, as we are here right now, an exhibition at the Getty Museum. And, Los Angeles was in fire. But Octavia Butler see it and in some way describe it in her work. And that was extraordinary, and I want you to share this with you guys, with Kamaal, as an homage to her vision. All that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. I had my recurring dream last night. I guess I should have expected it. It come to me when I struggle, when I twist on my own personal hook and try to pretend that nothing unusual is happening. It comes to me when I try to be my father's daughter. Today is our birthday, my 15 and my father 55. Tomorrow, I try to please him and the community and God. So last night, I dreamed it. I reminded it's all a lie. I think I need to write about the dream because this particular lie bothers me so much. I am learning to fly, to levitate myself. No one is teaching me. I am just learning on my own to fly, little by little. Dream lessons by dreams lesson. No a very subtle image, but persistent one. I have many lessons, and I am better at flying than I used to be. I trust my ability more now, but I am still afraid. I can't quite control my direction yet. I lean forward toward the doorway. It's a doorway like the one between my room and the hall. I drift toward the doorway, cold, pale light glow from it. Then I slide a little to the right and a little more. And I can see that I am going to miss the door and hit the wall beside it, but I can't stop and turn. I drift away from the door, away from the cold glow in another light. The wall before me is burning. Fire has sprewed from nowhere, has eaten it through the wall, has begun to reach toward me. Reach for me. The fire spread. I drift into it. It blazes all around me. I thrash and scramble, and I try to swing back out of it. Grabbing handful of air and fire, kicking, burning, darkness, brightening, stars are casting this cool pale gleam light. We couldn't see so many stars when I was little. My stepmother says to me, she is speaking Spanish. How could we fly under this heat? How could we fly under this heart? How could we fly when everything around us may burn? How could we see the future so far ahead? Octavia, how could we found each other one day in New York when I didn't know yet that I would be in your town of birth? How could we have been touched by airs that span our lungs and touch our heart? Lord, thank you for allowing me to be one day as I was young in the company of Octavia Butler. Thank you for letting us, my love and myself, to be able to stand and touch the ground in which she born and grow. Hired once, thank you for allowing us to be today, blessing and being blessed in the magnificence of this room and in this place that we call a church for the art, an altar for the Yoruba people.
My name is Faridah Folawiyo, and I am here with the amazing artists María Magdalena Campos-Pons and Kamaal Malak. I'm so happy to be here with both of you. Congratulations on this amazing, amazing exhibition. I wanted to know, how do you feel now that it's up? How are you feeling about it?
Well, thank you for having us here and for curating this exhibition. We feel amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the event yesterday, the opening was so beautiful, and we're getting a lot of good feedback. So we're very happy. Thank you.
And how did it feel to perform here in Dubai in the Middle East together yesterday?
Oh, it felt great because it was more intimate. You know, I've been doing concerts, like we just did the Getty, it's 350 people, and it's just so much more personal, and it felt good. I could feel it, and everyone was so responsive.
I wanted to speak about preparing for this show here in Dubai, as we were just speaking about. You know, you spoke about like there's certain, like, for instance, like with the sugar fields and the sugar canes, these are things that have been in your mind forever. So what made this feel like the time to create this body of work and show this body of work?
Well, that's a very, very good question. I think there was all kind of experience that I had in my very first visit to the region, you know, in which, that I was a participant exhibitor artist in the Sharjah Biennale in 2023.
Yeah.
And in one of the visits to one of the sites of I witnessed a group of drummers and singers in a performance, and it was overwhelming, emotional. I feel that I recognize the sounds, that I recognize the words. We have the opportunity to go where they were playing, record it, talk to them, touch the drum, take it to Matanzas. And when the people in Matanzas hear, they recognize it. So the place in Sharjah, I was talking about liminal circularities, returning to places that you have connections that you don't know completely. So, and when this musician went to Matanzas, with the help of the Sharjah Foundation and the Sheikha there, it was an extraordinary pairing all these people. So this piece that I have had for a long time, thinking I saw, and because I wanted to talk about finding myself and finding my roots elsewhere. So the idea of nature, again, the singers that we saw they were singing to the ocean. They were singing to pails gathering. And the song that I know from Matanzas, it was about Yemaya, the origin of the ocean. So we talk in the same scene. So finding similarities. So that is what I think about. What is in nature that I could encounter and I could find again? Should I go to all those places of historical or heritage origins, one that I know and ones that I still need to dig to understand better? So sugar, hibiscus, bird of paradise, all of those speak to those continuance and new beginnings. So I have narrated in my sketchbook about the idea of painting the sugar fields maybe 12 years or more, because I did the very first work about sugar in 1990, and I finally saw it's the tallest grass, and there is something about the landscape here that I kind of remember, and I wanted to bring greenery. I wanted to bring greenery and the motion, this sensuous motion. So sugar moved that way. And this is the idea of the sugar, the field of dreams and the sugar fields. And then the hibiscus. The hibiscus is an special, this one that is in the garden of my family in Matanzas. So this is the other idea. All these flowers and plants here are in the family garden. And the original photo from where I started working in the piece, I took it in the garden. So this is a very personal at the same time that is much larger and touch with other scenes. And I have a picture of Kamaal in Matanzas holding a huge bouquet of the birds of paradise. Huge. The result coming from my sister's garden and she sent it to my house in Matanzas. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that it was the first time that he holding such a huge. Yeah. I give you the picture for the.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I've never held a plant or flower that large and that.
It was like 2 meters.
And it was dense. Yeah. So for her to paint it, it's amazing. Amazing.
So that, and then, I mentioned to you that totally grew up surrounded by hibiscus, but I drank the first hibiscus drink in Senegal in 2003 with Koyo, in the house of Koyo Po with Salah Hassan. And then I let it drink baobab with Okwi and Salah and Koyo and other people. But this is...
I also drank. I did the raw program with Koyo. I also drank.
I know. So this is, and that's what I read yesterday, the poem from the Matanzas born writer, Georgina Herrera, Africa. Because she's talking about that, whatever I mentioned your name or whatever, I found you everywhere. So trying to... When I met Kamaal, I don't know if I could say that in the video, but I spent the night looking about African sculpture because I was thinking, I have seen him in a sculpture before. The entire night I was looking, I have seen this man, and it was mystical, spiritual, with a level of connections other than just superficial. And that's my aspiration and my intention with the work here. The work connect many points of beginning and create a line that traces back to all those places.
And I know that you've spoken, and when we were speaking about the work, you spoke about, attempting to give a materiality to spirituality in a way.
100%.
And I know that you work always across so many different mediums. And so how do you decide at a given time what medium that the message needs to be in?
That's very important. And also I feel almost that is a conceptual departure of a question, because how do I embody in a particular material the best engagement with the idea? Water is very important. I am soil, and my tears are water. The connection with the ground, is very important. Watercolor is a medium that is magnificent. It's difficult. It required virtuosity. It required a capacity to sink in ahead. Every step, is layering, and you don't erase back. You can do a little bit, but you shouldn't. And ideally, you don't. So it's a word that you add by knowing where you're going. And it's almost like a cleansing process. So I saw for this exhibition, I wanted to drink water. I wanted to center in. We're in the desert. And I wanted to focus in the materiality and the spirituality of water. I didn't do that in the performance, but sometimes I spread people with the spiritual water because we need to give a drink to the soil before we drink from the bottle in Cuba. So I am hoping to, when you are here and you engage with any of this image, the rupture's beauty of the image embrace you. So I am working diligently in the idea of those works are not only true to enhance and represent nature that I grow with that never had been elevated into that form, into visuality, sugarcane or heavy viscose. So I am very, very, the history of still life and the history of flora and fauna in the history of painting as a methodology that we have acquired from the Western world, but when we have other comments, the accent of the body in here when we are in Arabia, in which the motif of nature become more decorative and abstracted, all of those are here. The piece with the in readiness, which is the sugarcane stripe, strip it out of all the leaf, and it's just this stool of the body, all the first bird of paradise, false base of paradise, which is no green in it, but it's a lot of greens and lucidness when this plant is in nature. So making those decisions, making ethereal, making a flying, making I want to find the perfect word, almost in buoyancy, in a space of buoyancy, both these scenes that drip, but now they are structuring themselves. And in this case, considering the spiritual and the magnanimous condition of this space, so you in relation to the art and in relation to the architecture all the time. So, yeah, I am already having in mind when we will have our second exhibition here in 2 years or whatever, what I'm going to do here, what we're going to do here. And the same, I think for Kamaal, it's beautiful to be here for the we haven't talked about this piece, but we will, and the same for Kamaal and the sonic, the sound sanctuary.
Yes. You mentioned something just now about watercolor and how they can be giving and unforgiving because it's so, it's, for lack of better words, so liquid, so fast. And it's the same with music. Sometimes I have an idea and it's flowing and all of a sudden it takes a new direction. And whether it was purposely done or not purposely done, it's like liquid. Paint takes its form, sound takes its own form also. And the details, and I notice with art, a lot of times the details are really, the way Magda can explain it, the details are very formal. With music and sound, it's not as formal because it's difficult to talk over. Well, spoken word, you can talk over music. But with music, especially the instrumental music that I'm doing now, a lot of it's just listening. There's no words, there's no vocal or lyric to it. So it takes its own form. You can hear it completely different from someone else. And I like that aspect of the music. And the art, the way she paints and me witnessing the way she paints is a unique experience for me. I've never experienced it before. And how they say that like the best carpenters can cover their mistakes, the best musicians can cover their mistakes also in music and sound. I heard a story of Miles Davis, who's playing with Herbie Hancock, and Herbie Hancock played a wrong note in a chord that he played, and he kind of reacted to it. And Miles just looked at him and said, "It's okay." And Miles played a note that just embellished that wrong note. And so with music and art, it's the same thing. I mean, I see it as liquid, as fluid, as motion all the time.
And I think in both the music and in this series as well, there's this feeling of surrender. You know, there's like an idea of like understanding, okay, like this is nature, this is the architecture that exists, and I'm surrendering to it.
Yes. I love that.
You know, and there's like, okay, I'm an artist and I know what I want to capture, but there's some things that
I love that.
it's surrender.
You need to write an entire paper about that surrender. Because, you know, when I am, because my own formation and my interest, before I do this body of work, I spend a lot of time seeing masters, European masters of watercolor and studying watercolor. I'm also have been doing a lot of watercolor work, preparing myself to make the frescoes in Milan, because I think frescoes, watercolors are unforgivable surface. You know, what you insert it, you keep it. That is incredible, delicious. When I talk about praying in the process, that is to have the rigor of waking every morning and praying. You hear people pray 6 times a day, you know. We pray maybe 1, 2, 3 times a day. It's discipline. So it's an extraordinary discipline in doing this. I am also challenging notions of what is possible, what you are allowed to do, what you are permitted and what you are not. And this has been through the history of my art. I challenge myself, okay? I'm going to do exquisite watercolors, or I'm going to do, you know, this installation that people say, no, I can do it. And also how to have conversation with history in a way in which you take history and make it and put it in function of your time. So it's sugar bitter sweet in some way is that kind of work in which not only I come back to the archive of the construction and making of African, Asian, Arab war and the consequences of that, and European in who am I and how that I am telling this story from the point of view in the location of the West when I was born, or suppose, you know, historically in another corner of the world, and playing with that. So using these historical stools, the historical arrows, and building that narrative in conversation with the transatlantic journey, the implication of why we have a diaspora of Africans in the Caribbean and in the Americas, and doing that in a way that is at the same time just a conversation with a sculpture, and it's a conversation with a historical sculpture coming from the continent. You know, the totemic approach to a sculpture, the juxtaposition of material, and also a spiritual gift to the origin and the cosmology that we worship in Africa. Because this is what I have done with that piece, and a protest piece, a piece of resistance to colonization, to displacement involuntary of population, to disruption of continuum of development and progress in an extraordinary culture and an extraordinary continent. Same thing with watercolors. No, pushing and pull.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this idea of kind of playing with history and almost like flattening history, I think, as well, and thinking about, I mean, I think within this one installation, this one piece, there's so many histories.
Yes.
There's so many regions, there's so many geographies, there's so many personal stories. So it's really amazing the way in which you're able to mold that into something that makes sense right here, right now. You know, it's kind of mind blowing.
So he was in Matanzas, and we would attend there, and then one day he come down, and he had just wrote a song about Matanzas.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was flattened history too.
Yeah,
You know, Arrested Development, then in Cuba, in Matanzas, and came down with a song about Matanzas and being in the age of the water. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was easy. I mean, it was just spiritual. It came to me, you know, and I've had songs come to me easy like that, but this was different. Being in Cuba for the first time, seeing the plants that are displayed here, there, the smells, the people, the food, it's life. It's how creation started, you know, being there, absorbing it, and then having it come out of you, and then documenting too. Right now we're in the documentation process of everything, because for years I've worked without documenting.
it's good that you have each other as well. Of course.
Yes.
And attentive looking to each other and attentively learning from each other.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And documenting it, because one day people will look back at this particular space and time right now.
Yeah.
So we are curious about what piece we're going to do from being in Dubai.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes. Wait.
Yes. And she's already. She said she can't. She's got 3 pieces done already. I mean, large size, right in the hotel room. Yes, she's painting. Yes.
But also, I mean, we when we were here the last time for the Riyadh Biennale, the Riyadh Biennale, we documented a lot, we saw a lot, and we have ideas, and it's already, this region already impacted us in very profound ways, and we are incredible curious about what kind of engagement and could evolve, and how the experience to be here, signing into this gallery is perhaps the most important professional decision that we have done together at this time, and we are extremely excited of all the possibilities.
And one thing that I definitely would like to mention, and this is beautiful, this comes from a very humble place, seeing melanated Black people here, very successful, opening galleries, bringing people together of all cultures. It's beautiful.
It really is. It is. It's special.
Yeah,
It's
yes, again, it's a very interesting. I don't want to use to add in my point, is an interesting journey in finding the way back home.
Yeah.
And I dream a lot about finding myself in a row, trying to find the way home, over and over and over. That this dream that Octavia bottled out. And it's special to be here. It's very special. With you, Rehin, Valentina, Kobe, Kawami, Toga, Alavia, Jamal, all the people that have been welcoming, catering for us, surrounding us, pampering us, caring for us. It's a beautiful, beautiful circle. I love the energy in the gallery, in the workplace. Yes,
It feels like family.
family.
It feels like family, and it's something that is so rare, I think, in this art world, whatever you want to call it. It's a really beautiful thing to have. Yeah, another thing I actually wanted to ask about, we spoke about this briefly yesterday. And speaking about, for me, I think about all these plants and flowers. I think about them specifically as Nigeria. As a Nigerian in Nigeria, in Lagos, these are things that I saw all the time, right? I remember, after school in the season, we get the sugarcane juice, and it would be on the side of the road.
Guarapo.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I was telling you that I got these, the heliconia flowers. I got them for my mom for Mother's Day just 2 weeks ago because she loves them. And so when my mom came in yesterday, she said, I've never seen these painted before. And so thinking about, history, thinking about art history, thinking about the canon, there is a very important work you're doing with this in terms of adding them to the canon, you have all these artists that have, I was looking at Irving Penn, Irving Penn's photographs of flowers, you think about Morandi, there's so many, Georgia O'Keeffe, there's so many
Yes.
artists in the canon that have done this for very specific types of flowers, but to do this for what I would call tropical flowers, I don't know if that's correct,
Yes.
but to have these in the art canon in this way, I think is also really important.
Well, I used to teach a class that is called painting today, the narrative, the techniques. So I am very well versed in those. Yeah. I am intentionally working in that. I am intentionally working in that. And as I say, introducing into the canon and into the archive, these forgotten areas. Yeah. No, so this is again here, amending and what I say, a little bit of disrupting.
Yeah.
And disrupting with love, with care, because the narration of the history, and I have been thinking in the back of my head the work of the great Cuban painter Wilfredo Lam, who was very much important of the surrealist movement. And I am sure that if you look at his work carefully, you're going to see it, sugarcane still, and you may be going to see. But I am bringing them to their naked self and celebrating them in this glorious, in the moment in which photography and digital photography and all this access to gathering information work in a different manner. I have the privilege to be invited years ago in Boston to do a show in conversation with Fra Angelico, the Italian painter. And I have been fascinated by Fra Angelico. Look at how back in history. But I was, in the time, in the exhibition, I was sending people in the iPhone portraits that I was doing of them in my iPhone. Because I said, if Fra Angelico is alive today, he will be using the iPhone. As a part of a, so what I'm doing is pushing all these things together. A photo that I take in the Caribbean, and then I take it all the way to, Nashville, and I rethinking and reworking of it, and bring it back in this form that I just say have never been before. I know that. I remember when I was a young girl going to the museum and look into the whole museum. I know what is there, I know what is not there. It would be the first. So and in this way, and I am very interested in the time in which I access some sort of maturity in my practices. That is possible. I don't know. I am always experimenting, but making such a clear, conscious decision. That piece, this is the first of the heliconia. I could sink in the entire wall, and this crazy jungle. This crazy jungle of this magnificent miracle of nature. Then take it, inscribe it. I am thinking too in some ideas that Asian heritage, Arabian inspiration, of flattening of the surface, of a spreading of the eliminating in some areas, idea of, linear perspective. All of those things, they have been important. And they have been important conversations in the turn of the century, 21st century. But also old. There are materials in these paintings that are new materials, metallics, watercolor, metallic ink, fluorescence. The yellow in those pieces are fluorescence. If you dim the light, they will glow a little bit. Fra Angelico didn't have that, but he used it.
Yeah.
And so I am very in the technology he's using fantastic new tools when we work in the video piece. We haven't talked of the video piece, but Kamaal will talk to you a bit about the video piece in the next room.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's something that I'm sure has been done before, but for me, it's a personal experience, taking photos of Magda's art and putting it in motion. I had a chance to document the skies during the pandemic, and you got so many images of clouds, of sunsets, and it's so beautiful because during that time there were no planes in the air creating these chemical trails and condensation trails. So putting them into motion, a still image. So with Magda's art, just had the opportunity to embellish it a little bit with color, and then also adding sound to it. So you get a three-dimensional experience with it. So it's basically putting still art in motion. And seeing what comes out. It's a lot of experimentation in it also.
It has not been done before.
Yeah, some of the things, yes. Some of the things, like the tools that we have, everyone has the tools, but everyone also has the opportunity to make something completely different with those tools. And I had a chance to work with her art and then add music to it, and then put things that are still in motion with movement, and then also with contrasting colors also. So you could see our paintings are blends of reds and yellows and purples and blues, but imagine completely reversing those colors and making them completely different. It's still the art, it's still her work, but it's embellished in a unique way. So yeah, creating new original art.
It inspired me. It inspired me because it gave me access to a rethinking. I am very particular in how I work. I am not the kind of artist who made 20, 100 scenes of the same scene. And when I was young, I was criticized for that. But you change too much. I think that way, But then here I could see, should I change the chroma of the entire painting? Here I have a new painting that I could combat and now execute in my medium, in that case, watercolor or wash of ink, of whatever material that I'm going to use. And it's a conversation back and forth between digitality and analog and the history of painting and the history of color. I am a colorist. I think that since I was, my very, very first painting, and I understand color and I feel color very deeply, spiritually, and it's beautiful. It's such an extraordinary, beautiful collaboration. I get mesmerized. I am like, so it's one thing that we're doing that is very good, and for this show, because that piece was made for the show, we kind of art we had the first admirer of each other. We jump together and celebrate and laugh and say, and artistically, that is very rewarding. That is very rewarding. That open a lot of possibilities for what we're doing.
And laughter is the key also.
He's the ambassador of laughter. We laughed a lot. We danced a lot. We played a lot. I mean, well, we work, and this is what we don't get exhausted. You know, we work very hard. We work very hard, but is in such a space of joy and healing and sacred, you know, spiritual, that is oxygen to our bodies and our minds.
Sorry, just a quick one. The way you spoke about color, do you feel like you guys see color in different ways or like similar ways? Or how does you guys' personal relationships to color reflect in the collaborative work?
I'm going to let the musician answer that.
Well, my interpretation of color is sound. Like sometimes I like the traditional genre of blues. Blues music is bluesy. It gives you a blue feel.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I first started, I didn't know how to express the terminology of music. So I would say it in colors, like, I want this a little more yellow, which meaning brighter, you know, or I want something a little more deeper, which I would put into the bluish and the purplish category. So that's how I started interpreting colors. And then seeing and experimenting with art and design, I started understanding the hues and RGB and CMYK and all the technical terms. But I started from a novice, just trying to explain it through color, a sound, you know. So that's the best way that I can. And now she's the expert in
but I
coloring.
I love the way that you express it, and the way that there are a lot of that odd terms, tonality, hue, scale, are used both in music and in painting, and in the colored wheel and in the colored tone, all of that. So that is okay. But I have a symbolic approach to color too. Since many years, I have been very attentive to feel. I honor the color of the year of the Yoruba reading. So yellow and red is 2025. So Oshun and Shango. So that is my prayer for the reading of the year. And the piece that I did in Venice Biennale in 2013, letter of the year, 51, 52, all of that. I am interested in reinterpreting color wheel and color code upon our terms. And I am putting a lot of attention about what color means to on people of African descent, and how color has been such a fundamental scene in our expression of joy, love, beauty, and reverie. Because in nature, and because we are people, they have put nature in the center. Nature, there is no an artist that do more color than what nature does.
Oh yes, it's every day. Like I said, I took for 2 years photos of the skies, and I ended up with 8,760 photos of the skies, and each one of them are completely different as far as color combination, as far as hues, everything that you described. Color is life. Color is in existence all the time.
And the only color that painterly, when you paint with pigments that come from nature, all the pigments that we use in the realm of the history of painting come from stone, leaf, feathers, all from nature. The only other color that you could build that contain all is a brown to a black.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah. But I was thinking, because you were speaking again about movement, and I feel like there's a lot of movement in the work as well. And I wanted to ask you, because throughout, I mean, a lot of your work is always presented in a fragmented way. And I wanted to understand from your point of view the relationship between the movement, I mean, you can see it here, and also fragmenting the pieces.
Well, I have told this story many times. Since I'm very young, I always was working in the scale of my body. And for a long time, now I have the opportunity to have assistants and people that help me in my studio, but it was always me, myself, and my scene. And then later, when I become a mother, I learned a lot from my son, Arcadio, playing with Legos and with blocks, and always describing to me, Mom, I'm going to do this big scene. And the big scene was tiny, teeny little scenes. And then another strategy is to not limit myself ever because the size of the space that I was working with. So the fragmentation in the work, all of this add to the fragmentation. And then the coming on in art as a painter, the pictorial plane, no? The historical plane, the grid is there to give you, it's mathematics. I am interested in mathematics. I am interested in organization. I love symmetry. And I use asymmetry, so it was always, until today, it gives me the opportunity to be flexible with my space and how do I build. Honestly, since I arrived in this gallery, I have been trying to build a heliconia piece the size of the wall. And I know how to do that, and I will do something like that. The sugar field, I was thinking rather than have 1, 2, 3, I want to have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, and this is this column vertical of the green. So fragmentation is a way we are as entity. We are a totality made of many particles, of many fragments. And in some very simple, symbolic way, I am trying to understand this, that started out of necessity. I have done work that are now in museums in a space that were 2 meters by 3 meters. No? And so when I found myself with the privilege I am still very interested in the intimacy of a gesture that I could totally control myself. And I am very interested too in the relation of the scale and the idea of proportion and the miniature and the gigantic. So I am moved profoundly by the trunk of the baobab, but also by the little texture in the bark of the tree. And when I look the scenes that I have recorded in the war, I am always attracted to the very, and that's have to do with photography too, the close up and discover how it's made. No, because you could deconstruct that entire entity by the infinite minuscule of the little thing. And I am very, very attached to the distance and the tensions between these two. But give me the freedom of a big space and I will conquer. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you.
It's amazing. I'm always learning when I speak to you guys. I love it so much.
We love you too.
I'm so happy.